saucy, not bossy.
Okay, welcome in everybody. I am really excited, Barbara, to have you on Saucy Not Bossy. This is going to be a very emotional maybe episode for me. So I'm really excited to meet you and share you with the world, on my world at least, and just learn a lot from you. So everybody meet Barbara Stratte. She is the author. You're a caretaker, an author, a daughter, a mother, just a badass, a blogger. And I was just reading The Sandwich Gen, which is the Sandwich Generation, sandwichgen.com, right? And then I read your book, When Roles Reverse. And I love that title. And it's a roadmap for caring for aging parents. Am I right, Barbara, in saying all of that?
Yes, you are perfect. And I love that you love the book. That's awesome.
I do.
And I'm so happy to be here and talking about a big, super important topic. And it's amazing to me when you say it's slightly emotional, because it so is, which I always love having those conversations, because for people not to feel alone and to cover a topic that, I mean, I'd be surprised if someone doesn't go through in this stage of life, So thank you so much. You are such a beautiful person with really good energy. And I feel like you and I were meant to connect and have this conversation. So thank you for making it happen.
No, thank you to Instagram. So I want to tell you, I have been cleaning out my feed lately because, following Real Housewives or all of this, just,
Yes.
people that have it all together and they seem perfect. And I'm like, no, I need to go and look at more insightful people and people that I can connect to. So I started following, Alzheimer's and, aging parents. And I don't know how it happened, but your beautiful face came up and you had such a light to you. And I was just in the middle of dealing with my twins and everything. And I looked down and I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this woman? I have to meet her somehow, some way. So when I contacted you and you got back to me, I was like, oh my gosh. And then all of the things you've done to advocate for your mom and just you as a mother and a woman, I'm just like, so just talk to me, Barbara. You are just incredible. I want to start off and just thank you for putting yourself out there. But okay, so I know a lot about you, but by stalking you and, and going on your blog. And how are you? Tell me if I'm wrong, but your mom's Betty, right?
Yes, you're so cute. And she spells it like Bet. So it's that you got that right. It's impressive.
Yeah, no. And I love how, and everybody needs to go to your blog, The Sandwich Gen, because you have so many stories on there and photos of you and your mom. I want to say, me dealing with my mom now lives with me. And I had a lot of thoughts about putting her into a home or bringing her into my home.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, and I don't know how to start this conversation. Just
Right.
want you go, because there's so many layers to this.
Yes. Oh, yes. And it's crazy when I think it's like the perimenopause talk where it's kind of all of a sudden people started popping off and talking about it. I feel like that's what the sandwich generation is. And if you asked me 5 years ago if this is what I'd be doing in this space I'd be dancing in, I'd be like, really? But I do have older parents. So I am innately ahead of my friends in the stages I've been dealing with. I lost my dad when I was 20. And so my mom's been single and it's a lot. And so during COVID, we moved back to Portland from California. That was a big reason, is we were realizing she was needing more help. And also we just saw it as an opportunity to just be more involved, and so happy we did that. And then just through that process, we downsized her. We moved her into a retirement home, and then we've moved her into our home. And there's all these stages and so much unknown. And it's like a tip of an iceberg. When you start to see something, there's so much more below the surface. And I just started, when I was going through it with her, I started looking out on the interweb, being like, okay, what do I do in this? What do I do this? And there wasn't a lot of information at all. And the information, the people talking about it were way older. And I feel like you and I, our generation, wants someone that's relatable, that's right ahead of us. And so I just started putting all the information through life experiences, through research, I have a podcast as well. And through asking people, I'm very resourceful. So I would just put it all in this one place. And I was like, wait, this is a book. And all my friends were like, you need to be doing this because you are that resource to us. And I started sharing on Instagram about when we moved my mom in, and I was like, I want to create a senior citizen sorority. And I got so many like loving messages and DMs about it. And then I was realizing how much people needed this. And it was just so awesome because it just kind of showed me, okay, this is where you should spread your light. And everyone's like, I love that you're normalizing this, because I think it's a private thing for a lot of people. And that we're like, oh gosh, however our parents aging, we're dealing with our own emotional, which is huge. The name of the book, When Roles Reverse, that's really what happens. And it's a lot. And so I think me talking about it has helped a lot of people. And I've gotten so many messages of people like saying what their challenges have been. And that's kind of the angle I went at the book, is like a roadmap, taking people from the biggest challenge at the beginning, which is starting the conversation with our aging parents, with that role reversal of these amazing, strong beings that have like guided us on our journey. And now it's kind of like flipping through to the end of life, which no one likes to talk about. And believe me, when I was 20, we went through it with my dad. It's like these stupid logistical things that you have to know, or else it's just an overwhelm and energy and time suck. But it's when you have it out in front of you, and that's how the book works, is in these chapters of like what chapter literally you're in that stage, is just to help you and save you that time and energy, and just allow you to be in it instead of like researching and scrambling and not knowing. And so that's really what called me to write the book. But yes, my mom lives with us. She's been living with us for like almost a year and a half now. I know, I like you, it's very rare that people can do that. Like the situation in households, that's not always a case that you can do that. And I never want people to feel bad if they cannot do that. So there's so many different living options. But I feel like perimenopause, the more you talk about it, the more you normalize it, the more people are like, oh, it's not scary. It's not it's like a normal part of our lives, which I think when we went, you look at your life, you're like, you go to college, you graduate, you get married, you have kids, and then no one talks about this one. So it's kind of, and because baby boomer generation is such a large generation, it's not if this will happen to you, it's when it will happen to you. And usually how it happens to people is you're coming in hot. Your parent has fallen. You've realized, I got so many calls after the holidays that people are realizing, oh my gosh, my parents haven't been paying their bills. Oh, there's expired food. Oh, they're not dressing the same, like the lack of care. And so you're seeing these signs. And that's why I say the tip of the iceberg. Like if you're seeing any of that or any of that's happened, it's like, whoa, it's been going on for a while. And it's just this slow progress into what that dire situation is. Yeah. So I hope that.
Well, that's exactly right. And what I want to ask you is, I just, like you, I have so many people coming to me because the conversation is starting to get open, and it's my
Yeah.
mom's story, but it's mine as well. Just like you,
Yes.
we're living in this, but I have so many people that just don't want to see it. Right. So they'll come to me and be like, because I know with my mom, she was always, this is why I started Saucy Not Bossy, because she'd say, Shauna, you're a leader, you're saucy, you're not bossy. Right. And so she always gave me great self-esteem, but she is the matriarch,
Yeah.
and was. But now with Alzheimer's, the roles have reversed, like your
Yeah.
book. And so, there's so many people that come to me and say, what's the first step that I do? Because I'm nervous, because my mom's such a powerhouse. I can't just take the car from her, but she
Right.
also can't remember where she drives to. And that was my first thing. So
Okay.
when it comes to people getting nervous and going, okay, the food is expired, all of this is happening. What is and I know you talk a lot about this in your book and everybody should get it, but what is the first step that you did personally that you were just like, okay, I'm going to take the reins?
Right. So COVID really aged her fast because then she wasn't driving as much. And so when we moved back and I was seeing more, I was just asking her, I was like, I always try, it's like with our kids. It's like when you have these conversations, you want to be, it's like, it's an energetic thing. I feel like you want to be in a comfortable spot and you want to make them comfortable. So I always try and spend time and, just kind of connect. And then I start engaging. And I always feel like anything I'm nervous for, I want to come from a loving place, which we are when we're caring for our parents and we're concerned. So I would just, make sure I connected, make sure checked in with myself. I'm like, I'm coming from a loving place. And then I would just start asking asking some questions like, how are you feeling about this? Are you feeling, because she went on an errand and her neighbors were really nervous because it took her forever to come back. And they were like, where is she? And she lost her car in the parking lot, could not find it. And it was like over an hour. And then finally someone helped her and they, did the unlock thing to find her car. And so she was like, yeah, I've been having a hard time. And I was like, do you think it's time that we can figure it out to get you groceries? I will come see you. And she's like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable driving anymore. So I was really lucky that she was pretty self-aware in that, but I know a lot of people aren't. But that's why in the book, that's the number one complaint or the challenge that people have come to me with is how to start the conversation. And so I put a lot of conversation starters in there, but I think the key is being in that comfortable place and coming to your parent as a team member instead of like coming at, like with our kids, if we were going to say, I want you to wear the red bow in your hair, they'd be like, no. I don't know why I'm saying no, but I'm saying no because you're coming at me like this. So it's kind of that thing where you're like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. I love you. And then it's like, if you're talking about a retirement home or the car, you're like, do you want me to have like meal delivery or I can do this? Like, why don't we just try for a little bit to not drive and we'll see how it goes? Cause I'm sure they're just nervous about their independence and stuff like that. And then especially with retirement homes, I'm just thinking to make it easier on me, I would love to just go tour some retirement homes and see it. Wouldn't that be fun one day when you could go to lunch? It's like the way you phrase it, like how it worked with our kids is how they'll kind of look to you as, and you're not saying, I think you should go into retirement home. We really need to look, they're going to fight that. And so I think that's the key is coming at it from a good place and just leading with that, like almost excitement or how cool is this? They have this now. Oh my gosh, I would love to do that. Let's try it out. And then they just kind of are like, okay. And then also, I think a huge part is our parents, one of their biggest fears is not to be a burden on us. And so if you ever, say, not like, I don't want it to be a burden, but this would be easier for me. This would make me feel like more safe about this, or I would love for this to happen. They will definitely be more encouraged to do that because they don't want to make it harder for us. And they know that that's like one of their anxieties, I believe. I know it was my mom. She just kept saying, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a burden. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, to make it easier for me, let's do this. Yep, I'm in. And granted, my mom's easy. She's very easygoing. She's very happy and not everyone's the same, but I think just in human behavior and especially the way it works with our kids, it's just a great way to like a good jumping off point.
No, that's really great. What do you do with a person that's parents are not like Betty? Because I know my mom at first was like, no, this is not happening. And plus she was
Yes.
going through a lot,
Yes.
but and I think, starting with a great, checking in with yourself, that was such great
Yes.
advice because I
Yeah.
have to put myself in a corner sometimes and just go, my
Yeah.
energy is going to be her energy and she's going to
Yes.
it. So what do you
For sure.
do if you're just having a really awful day and your parent is just like, no, not happening. And it's weeks of this. And it's
Right.
what do you do? What would you
Yeah.
suggest?
So I just had a call because I do care chats and guidance sessions because every situation is unique. So I wanted to offer that for people. And I just spoke with this woman and she was like, her parents live together. Her dad has a catheter. Her mom is like feet like dug into the ground, will not, accept help. And then kind of just looking at this woman, Kelly, and she was like, you're not helping us. And Kelly's like, I bring you food all the time. You're not doing this. And she's like, we will not, she did not want any help because I think they get the fear of independence being taken away. And then I was like, okay, Kelly, what if you say the doctor wants this to happen? What if you just say, hey, this is what the doctor has asked? Because that's what I would do with my kids with teachers. I'm like, can I just say that you said this? And so it's taking it off of me and being like, I know, I totally understand you don't need this, or I agree with you. I hear you, and being heard and seen is like, once you acknowledge, like, I hate to always liken it to kids, but once you acknowledge where they're at and be like, oh, I totally understand. Like with your mom, if it's medication or if it's this or that, be like, I totally understand how you're feeling. But my job is to take, like, I love you and I want you around as long as possible. And this is what the doctor said, or whatever, whoever has been involved in their care as well, and just be like, so I got it. We got to at least try it. Let's just try it and see how it goes. And then you just kind of lessen what feels like such a big thing to them. And I was telling this woman, Kelly, I was like, okay, try and put it on the doctor and then do the check-ins. I also sent her, I was like, here's a camera. You can see if they're eating. You can put it in their home. And she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. I was like, yeah. Cause she was like, they're not eating. I bring them the food and then they're not eating it and they're not taking their medications. Like there's so much. And so I was like, okay, so you take vitamins. Why don't you call your mom every morning? You take your vitamins and be like, hey, mom, I'm taking my vitamins. You want to do it with me? It's like, cool. And that, you make it fun. And she's like, okay. And I also think not only for your parents, I think it's a reframe for us because instead of this like have to stressful thing, it becomes like this, okay, it's just part of my practice. I'm doing this now. Or if you cannot, then you get another thing into place. Like with my mom in the retirement home, she had, the daily pill boxes and she had to take pills and we had to pay for a service there because I would fill her pills, but then I'd see her and I'd ask her every morning, are you taking these? And she's like, yes, but she couldn't remember if she did. And so I'd see her and I'd see that there were days that it wasn't taken. So we had to kick in a service at the retirement home to make sure, like, hey, Betty, and they come in and make sure she took it and hung out with her for a half hour or whatever. But there are other things you can do. There's pill boxes with alarms. There's just some other things. And I feel like when we're in distress and we're in that moment, we don't see the 40-foot view of other things that we can try. And I don't blame you. It is so hard. I mean, I just made a reel about my mom feeding the dog over and over again. And I'm like, who's crazy here? It must be me.
That that blog post was I was like literally like, oh, she sees me. Yes. And it's like our mothers are so like it's so kind that they want to feed the dog, but I'm like, just
Yes.
don't feed that dog. Like, yeah,
Just
you have
don't
a
feed the dog.
90-pound dog. And it's like, but and I didn't feed the dog. What are you talking? And I'm like, and then my kid is like, my kid's like, don't tell me what to do. And then she's like, don't and it's literally the sandwich
Yes.
You're so brilliant
Yes.
with that.
It
Taught like
is.
with that. Yeah. Just
Yeah, it is. And you just have to take that moment. And that's why I had to share because I was like, oh my God, anyone else out there, like you are loved, you are appreciated, you are needed because it's so much. And you do feel like you're going crazy. Cognitive issues are a whole other, like a other layer on things. And now with so many people having dementia and Alzheimer's, I think that's higher likely that you will have someone with that. And they say like, like child rearing or this, I believe is like acts of a saint. And I don't feel like a saint. I lose my mind. And I definitely, and it's in the book too, is like major self-care. And I have to take a moment. I have to sit outside. I'll even when my mom's driving me crazy, now that the weather's better, I'm like, let's go sit outside. Cause I'm just like, I love you. This will be good for you. I'm needing this. And we'll just go sit outside. And then it was cute when I shared that reel. So many people responded and they're like, well, do this with your dog, do this with your dog. And I'm like, exactly. Why didn't I do that before? Because I'm in distress. And the feeding the dog, I think for you and me is that struggle we have between like what was our mom and what is now. And so it's this safe, stupid thing to be like, no, I don't want to like have this be my new reality. And so it was hitting me on so many levels of like, this is a deeper issue than feeding the dog, even though we've been warned he's overweight by the vet and now he's begging at the table. It's a bigger issue. So and people had really good suggestions, but I'm like, and one woman, I was like, oh yeah. And I'm realizing how deep this runs, and on a like emotional level. So that's so funny. I love that resonated with you. And I'm so sorry. It's so hard.
so hard. But then I also loved your post about, and I did this yesterday, is
Oh yeah.
I loved that where, I looked at my mom yesterday after reading your post and it was like, buy some flowers to cheer you up. And I looked at my mom and she doesn't really make sense anymore. But
Yeah.
I looked at her and I was like, do you like flowers? Do you miss having flowers? And she's like, yeah. And so we got her flowers and it really
Oh,
cheered her up. And your post about just $4 for the flowers,
yeah.
something simple, or go pick them out on a walk.
Yeah.
Just the little things that can brighten up the day of, a person like my mom that has really highs and lows. It can just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think because with memory challenges I'm really seeing in my mom, it's what's right in front of them. They're very like, it's very simple and they don't remember. So it's almost like this, when they see them, it's like they're getting them every time they see them. They're like, oh, look at these. I mean, we have flowers on the island that my brother brought around Easter, and she has them. I put her flowers in her room, but these are out on the, like, where she eats breakfast. And she kept every day, I'm like, these are beautiful. Who are these from? So it's like a gift that kept giving every day. And when she moved in, that was kind of one of the things. And it's just that practice of it fills us up when we're doing those things for others, because I feel like the mundane, it doesn't fill me up. Having to make a meal, even though I'm doing our laundry, you and I are doing so much to take care of them. It doesn't feel like, sure, it feels good, like overall, but the flowers is that act of like pure love and thoughtfulness that like is who you and I are innately as beings. And so it's like when I do that and the delight I see, and she's just like, oh my gosh, these are beautiful. I mean, she's surprised every time, even though she was with me at Trader Joe's sometimes picking out said flowers. When I put them in a vase and put them in a room, she's like so happy and delighted. And that just blows me away. I'm just like, oh my God, like all the other stuff is needed, but this is what does it. And so it's my weekly now thing of, yeah. And it's so minimal and not expensive to do. And that's why I was like, I should share this little stuff. And I just want to hug you because I'm like, oh my God, you're just awesome. And I
No,
know.
I know, but I'm looking at you because you've been in it for a long time. But Barbara, do you ever have your moments where you feel like you're being punked? Like, what was the moment? Did you have like? Because I
Oh,
had my days where I'm just not okay, and it's okay to
oh yeah.
not be okay because
Yes.
it's just crazy in my head to just look at my mom and I'm like, I'm repeating myself over and over. And I'm like, am I
Yeah.
being? But then I'm like, okay, this is who she is now, and not
Yeah.
thinking about. And I kind of forget who she was, but maybe
Yeah.
that's a trauma thing for me because I can't. I don't want to remember right now because it's so it's so sad, right?
Yeah.
And she just declined so much. So, with your mom, did you have a moment where you got really frustrated and you just were down and then you were like, you know what? Because you're like, I'm just gonna shift it. And there was like a change in you. Did you have a moment like that at all? Or has it just been progressive moments over time?
I feel like it's been progressive moments, but I think the biggest thing actually was when I was starting the sandwich gen, and I was so passionate about it. And I used to call my mom every day. Like, we're really close. I would talk every day. And it's this thing that you're like, oh my God, this is like a baby to me. Like, I'm so like, it's my world. It's my excitement. It's all these things. And I would tell her little things. And then finally, when I wanted to say, oh my gosh, I got my website and I have this and look at this, she can't retain the information from, it's like you have to start the conversation from square one. And it just was like hit so hard. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't have her as that huge part of my life anymore. And I know she'd be so proud. And I know you're like,
No, it's
it's hard. It's hard. And our parents,
okay.
yeah, and people, they're like so much for us. And I was just like literally I felt like my heart was breaking because I was like, "Oh my God, I don't have this in her anymore in this big thing that I'm so excited." And she would just, it was that huge missing moment. And I was just like took it in, and I definitely like walked away and had an ugly cry, which is always good. And then I am really lucky because I preach about friends a lot. I have badass friends that I pretty much have said, you are my person now. Like, you are, and they're like honored and happy to be that. And I'm like, and I can, so I feel like as long as we get it somewhere, it is needed, and to be held and supported in the good, the bad, and the ugly. Even though our moms still love us dearly, we just can't get what our needs are in that. And so I feel like that was the biggest one where I was like, oh God, like that is gone and it will never come back. And the opposite of raising kids where you have progress, this is just decline. And I just try, I swear I was born with a glass half full, which I'm sure triggers people sometimes. And I'm just like, yeah. But I always say, for where I vibe, which is high, it's a long way to fall. And it hurts when you fall.
Mm.
And so I always try and share like how to get back to that place. And it is a lot of self care, and it is a lot of just like trying to get back to that positive. And I'm like, well, I'm just grateful I have her because I don't have my dad anymore. I'm grateful that she's not, I'm grateful she's happy. I'm grateful she's doing better than where she was. And so I just try and get back to that. But yeah, that was probably like the biggest. And then there's moments that are just a pure, I don't know if I can swear on here,
Yeah,
but like,
yes,
okay,
definitely. Yes.
uh, a pure shit show where you're like, my husband, who's in the entertainment industry, we just kept going, you can't script this. You can't. And we started writing all of it down. And yeah, we're actually coming out with something exciting too. But I mean, it was just, I'm like, oh my God, how did this happen? Like make a long story short, but my mom, I don't know about your mom, but my mom is not like, I think with memory challenges, their taste buds for sweets is stronger. So they want a lot of sweets. And yeah. So we were in Eugene, which is an hour and a half drive from where we live, visiting her best friends, which are my godparents. So we go there and we go to eat, and she was like barely eating her dinner, but then wanted this dessert. And my godmother's like, let her have it. Da, da, da. And I'm like, okay. Because usually I'm like my kids and everything, protein, protein, protein. Anyway, let her have it. We're driving back and she loves her seat heaters in my car, like feels so good on her back, loves it. So we're driving, all is fine. It's my mom, myself, and my oldest daughter, who's now 14. And we're driving. My daughter's in the front seat. My mom's in the back because she was like, I'm just gonna sleep. And then all of a sudden, we get this strong smell. Thank God we were 4 minutes from our house. And it was like, smelled like cheese, like really strong cheese. And when I look back, my mom's shirt is off. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm driving. I'm like, what the heck? And she threw up, and she had taken off her shirt because she was warm. She didn't tell me she was warm. No communication, and threw up. So then we pull in the drive. I call my husband. I'm like, I'm coming in hot. This is what happened. You got to help me. I'm like, oh my God, because I'm like, don't touch anything, because you have this like pretty much toddler that
Right.
is,
Yeah.
and so we pull in the driveway. He's like, okay, he doesn't tell me he's coming down from our like back there with our neighbor. And my mom's out of the car,
Oh,
bra, vomit, and he's coming down with our neighbor Mark. And I'm like, oh my God, because my mom's the most like, prim and proper person. So she's standing in her bra, bewildered. And I'm like, just, and Mark's like, I feel like I need to help. And I go, I feel like you need to leave. Go. And he was like, okay. It was just one of those crazy moments. And then cut to the dog licking up. It is what it is. And I just try, because there is so many just hard parts. And that's why I just was like, it's needed to just shine light in this area. And I always know that light shines the brightest when it is a dark space. So it's not like I'm saying it's all wonderful. I just really try and make the best of what there is and savor what I do have, because I have lost a parent. I do know it can get worse. And so I just try and hug her. My kids hug her. They are frustrated too. But it's like we just try and stay in that lane of gratitude and love as much as possible. And believe me, I'm with you. There are days where I'm like, oh my God, I'm a monster. Like, how am I? I'm not cut out for this. I'm not built for this. Like, I'm doing a horrible job. And then, right then, I swear, that's when someone like you or someone on social media, which is what I know it was built for, the community of it, and reaches out and is like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Or I see you. You're doing a great job. And that's why I really wanted to start talking about it so people aren't so private about it. Because if you don't, and you're not letting people in on hard parts of your life, then you can't allow the goodness in as well. And people need to know what you're going through, because it's a lot. And that's why I'm starting to support people in businesses too, with the HR teams, because they're like silently working and going through this, and they're like, it's my job, I don't want to show this, I don't want to, and they're burning out and having to take paid family medical leave. And so I'm trying to start the conversation at that corporate level as well. And that's why I also on the website offer those care chats and the guidance sessions more for like, they need structure. How do I get my parent in a home? What should I do? All this stuff if they haven't, because all these situations are so unique. And care chats is literally to like just vomit like all the stuff and be held and be acknowledged, because it's so needed, so needed. So yeah, that nice, disgusting story.
but no, but I also on your blog you said you're not failing, you're feeling. And I loved that
Oh,
because it's just every day I'm like, am I, and the fact that we're even bringing our parents in our house and the fact that we're even like questioning if we're failing and we're
yeah,
really, but I feel like this is the ship to Valhalla, right? And it's not,
yeah,
it's a ship that's gone. And I feel like we both got jumped into a gang we didn't want to be part of, right?
right, right.
It's funny that you said because you have to have joy and humor in all of this, right?
Yeah.
And, there was a
In all of life. Say what? I said in all of life. It's just like laugh or cry at any moment.
But
Yeah.
that's what I love about you is like you're feeling everything and there's waves that come and we just have to
Yeah.
ride those waves. There was my friend works for a studio and she said that there was a failed pilot and it was Ty Burrell, the guy from Modern Family.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was a pilot about a man whose father left him, a boy. His father left him, and then he comes to connect with him again, and he has Alzheimer's. But they never got along, and the father didn't raise him and wasn't a good father to him. Well, the pilot failed because that father wasn't there for his son. So why would there be a connection and why would there be joy? And why would the son be
Right.
excited to take care or just be willing to take care of
Right.
his father? What do you say to people whose parents weren't great, like Betty and Carla? Like, what would you say to a person that's like in this predicament and they don't have joy? They don't really like their parent.
Right.
Is that a path where they should probably put them somewhere where there's not triggers for them and the parent? What do you think about
Right. Well, I think majority of people don't have their parent live in place like we are. I think we are rarer. I think especially depending on the situation. And I know that a lot of people have challenges with their parents and have issues and stuff, and especially if they're not cognitively there. But I do think that I try and believe that everybody has done the best they can. Everybody has their own struggles, especially as we evolve and learn how much life is hard. Life is so hard. I
that?
look at my kids and I always, I have to fight beating myself up for like, I'm like, I am amazing. I'm like happy all the time. And you guys see the worst of me. And I don't know why, and I'm just like, I hope one day I hope your takeaway is that I did the best I could. And I loved you with like every, like everything I've got. And so, and there's some parents that, like I have friends that are like, my dad shouldn't have been a parent. And it's like, but you were born and you are here and there, so I really think that if we do what you can, I don't think you should go into debt for your parent. I think there's structures in place. That's why I touched on Medicare and Medicaid. I feel that if you can, for your own healing process, can show love in the best way you can, and that'll help you. I feel like what a lesson to teach your kids, to show them and just be like, hey, and I think that, I mean, I always try and be transparent and open with my kids and be like, and you just be like, we don't have the best relationship. I didn't have the best relationship with, my mom or whatever. But that's why I work so hard to have a good relationship with you. And I'm just working hard to make sure that my mom is taken care of and she's safe and we're going to go see her, and it might be really hard and mom might be really upset or mom might be really cranky about it, but like I do love her. And sometimes you have to love someone enough for both of you, or that's just your own journey. It's so personal. But I do believe that, I mean, believe me, through this process with my mom, and I think a lot of people have this, siblings will become an issue if parents aren't. It's really challenging. It's really triggering when you're doing this, the brunt of it, and other people aren't. And so, and I just try and shine like, I'm like, okay, I was given this because I was able to. I have a lesson in this. I always look for the lesson. Believe me, sometimes I'm like, you're so annoying. I just want to just scream. I have a lot of inner monologue going on. Can you tell? But it's, and believe me, this is just like calling your shot. This is trying to do the best. But are you every day? No. But if you're a parent, if you're not close to your parent and they are needing help of any sort, you need to get involved, or if you can, if you're able to, and I think always calling the elephant out in the room. If your parent is still cognitively there and you are not close and they are needing help, of being like, I know we're not close. I am grateful for who I am today. You are part of that. I love you for what that is. And I'm willing to help you, but I need to like know what the situation is, like financially, all that stuff. And then you just come at it like that. And then always have your boundaries, always do your self-care. And, and just it's more challenging to make sure you're taking care of yourself and make sure you don't go beyond your limits. But I think you'll feel what you will get out of that healing wise will get you. It's like you're doing for another person, but you're getting more out of it, I believe.
Mhm.
Does that help? Does that make sense?
No, it's great. Yeah. And I feel like you're going to feel now or you're going to feel later, right?
Yeah.
If this is happening to us and you're either going, it's the long goodbye, right?
Yeah.
So I know I have a sibling that just doesn't want to deal with it. And then I've got another sibling who's amazing, but he's limited. So it's a lot on me.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for my youngest sibling that is just gonna feel it hard
Yeah.
after and just can't work through it. I feel bad.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
love those tips, Barbara. Like that is
Well, and you and I are very like soul sisters, but that whole Mel Robbins, like, let them, I've had to really do that with my brother because I'm like, I was getting angry at him because I'm like, you're not doing this. You're not like, do you get this could be the last Christmas you spend and you didn't prioritize, you didn't even see her. Like, and then I had to go, okay, like, I don't want this anger in me. Like, how do I release that? And then I'm like, okay, that's his journey. I'm going to let him. It might be too much. He doesn't even want to see it. He can't see her for over a certain amount of time. He's very distracted. You know what I mean? I can tell he did this with our dad too. And I'm like, okay, I'm grateful that I am able to do this. I'm grateful that I can be here for our mom. And I'm just going to let him have his own journey. And if he regrets it at the end, that's, like that's his lesson in this. It's not mine. And I don't want to, cause that energy, I could just feel it. I could feel like it was making me sick and me like angry and frustrated all the time. And I was like, I just got to release it. So I just was like, okay, stop being so angry. Cause I felt myself complaining about it. And I was like, I can't, cause this doesn't serve me. And he's not thinking about it.
right.
Why should I? Why should I care more than someone else does? Yeah.
Everyone needs you. Like honestly, you are so because what worries me is I don't want to go through all of this, be negative, and then get cancer, God forbid. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Right.
to do all this. So I
Right.
have to look at the good stuff because I do feel as negativity and just not being grateful in life. Like every tip that you've given me has been so great because I'm like, no, I'm not going to go down with this ship. Because you see all these people that are caretakers, and then Gene Hackman and his wife, and they all go down on the ship
Yeah,
with the person because they're just so
totally.
embodied in it and they don't do self-care and they don't take care of themselves and they're negative.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
love all of those tips and just the let them theory with, people that are just limited, you know?
And I wanted to bring up something for you. I don't know if you're doing this with your mom, but for older people that are cognitively challenged, I say cognitively challenged because it encompasses, there's so many different versions of that, but there are respite classes that have been like soul giving to me, which respite, I didn't even know what the word meant, but it's for the caretaker. And it's where the cognitive challenge individual gets to go and they get to be social. My mom goes to the adult center and it's like kindergarten drop off. I mean, it is like she gets so excited because she has this place that's her own. And there's like the volunteers are angels pretty much in street clothes and they are just lovely and they have lunch and they talk and someone comes in and shares their Hawaii vacation or whatever. And then afterwards, my mom can't even tell you what they did, but she had a good time. So that's all that matters. And I've shared some stories about that too, of like, she almost got peed on in the elevator and like,
Who's got on it?
I mean, because one of the men like thought he was in the back. He was just not. And it was because, and then they come out like before my mom was entering my car. They're like, just some excitement today. I just wanted, and I'm like, oh, and then my mom's version of it, I recorded her telling it. And it was like the perfect pause before, because you're like, what is she going to call it? Is she going to say like penis? Is she going to say, she's like, part of himself. And
Oh,
we're like, it was just like the perfect comedic timing. It was like so good, so good. And yeah, and then another one that like, broke my heart in the best way is that I was dropping her off and my mom is beautiful. She's stunning and she looks so pretty in jewel tone colors. And so she was wearing jewel tone. So when I was dropping her off and one of the volunteers was like opening the door for her and they're like, oh, Betty, you look so beautiful. And I go, she's a jewel tone girl. And my mom's like, but I don't have the jewels to back it up, or like all the jewels. And as she's getting out, she goes, but that's my jewel right there, and pointed to me. And I was like, oh my God, Like just those little things. I was like, oh, it's just like deposited in my emotional bank for like a lifetime, just those little things. So
Well, let me
yeah,
let me ask you a question. How do you stay married? Like, because you said you have a great husband, and so do I.
yeah,
Like, I thank God every day for him because he
yeah.
doesn't have to do
Aw,
this, right? And
yes.
so loving. And my dad left my mom after 43 years, and she built his
I'm
career.
so sorry.
Yeah, and he left her for a younger woman, and I tell people this, and people are just not really shocked sometimes because I guess this happens a lot, and I'm just mind blown by it all living through it, but he's really stood up as the man, in this house and for my mom,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And what do you say to people that don't have great husbands like our husbands? And then also, how do you also make time? Tell me all the things, Barbara, but how also do you also make time for your husband as well with your mom living with you? How do you balance it all, Barbara?
Oh, I love this question because not well. I mean, I feel like we're constantly like working on being better. Brian and I are high school sweethearts, which so is not my personality because I bore easily, but he's the best human being I've honestly ever met. Like he is just beyond. I love him so much. And so he's grown up with my mom. So when we were going to move her, he was like, let's try her in our house. It was his suggestion. And we were both nervous. And I think because we started like it was overwhelming at first and we started going, oh my gosh, you can't script this. We are like what we're going to announce. We started like talking about it and setting aside that time to really communicate about it. And I think in the normal situation, it's like a parent going to a retirement home. Maybe that spouse is having to spend more time and energy for that. I know a lot of my friends are going through that. And I just think the biggest thing is just being clear and communicative with your spouse and partner and just saying, hey, this is what I need to do right now. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I am like needing to move my parent. It's taking a lot of time and energy. Can you just help me? Because I think a lot of us women think, we are super women. We're like amazing. But we also need to know where our limitations are. And we also need to communicate those because God bless men, they don't read our minds. And so and we think they do, we do. We're like, why aren't you helping me? Can you see him in distress? Can you see him drowning? Like the universal sign of drowning. And they're like, I thought you were just waving at me. Like, what? I don't, they're
There's no
just
orange juice. It's behind the milk, and you're doing like a million other things.
exactly, exactly. So I feel like if you communicate and say, hey, in case you have, no, you don't have to say in case you haven't noticed, but like, this is what's going on with me. This is where I'm needing help. Could you take more? Could you take on dinners? Could you take this? Because there's a plate we all have, even though we're superhuman. And it's like something needs to be literally taken off of it. So if they can do that, you're feeling loved and supported and they're feeling like they're doing something and you don't go, oh, I'm doing it all. And they're just watching me because it's not fair to them. It's not fair to us. So I really think communication is key. And we've had to talk a lot. And there's times where, I'm just like, even not the physical, but I'm like emotionally, I'm just like, I'm nuked right now. And so if I'm short, I'm doing a check in more than I ever have. And we used to do this kind of as kids, with our kids, but it's just like, hey, this is where I'm at. So give me grace. Like, give me grace. I'm really having an emotional day. My mom's been really like with our moms, some days are better than others. And when they're really out of it, it wears on us, and just like, and so I give him a heads up. And then I do feel like he gives me more grace. And if he's not, I remind him gently again. And if not, then I scream at him. Yes, but it's hard. But I do think that communication is key. And I do think that majority of us women assume that they know what we're going through and they don't. And that the minute we do let them in, they're like, oh yeah, okay. And then you give them a specific thing to take over. And if you don't know what that is, then you just say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I have to do this, 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 this. Is there any way, knowing all this, can you help me in any way? And then they'll be like, oh, and then they can cherry pick whatever, but at least then something's taken off you and then you feel a lighter load. And also they're aware of how much you're doing. They're like, they're in their own, we're all in our own little things. And so it's just nice to look outside of it once in a while and be like, okay, I see you. I let my kids know too, because I'm like, hey guys, just, my husband travels a lot. And I'm like, hey guys, it's me, you guys, and then mom. Like, I need more help. I need you to step up your game this week. And then, so they're aware. So then I don't, because I feel like and it's kind of a boundary, right? Like it's kind of, you're just saying, I'm stating my needs. And then if you don't do that, I'm going to say why I'm frustrated. And so I have a teen who's like very tunnel vision. And so when I'm like, hey, dad's traveling, can you be in charge of this? And then if she doesn't do it, I one time sent a picture with the full dishwasher, like,
Oh,
hey,
I
being
like
like a nice, funny, trying. Believe me, there's a lot of frustration and anger behind that smile, but she can't see that. But it's just, you're just letting people in, letting friends in. I had to have my friend, I was volunteering for a thing at school, and my mom needed to go to a respite class. And I was like, is there any way you can take her? And she's like, absolutely. I'm actually going out that way. It's just allowing. And I think us as females and women we have such challenges about receiving, such a, like, we feel like it's a failure in a way. We feel like, oh God, how do we not handle all these balls in the air? And I think it's the best gift we can give ourselves is receiving. You will have closer relationships. You will feel closer to your family. You will feel closer to your friends if you receive help. And I just invite everyone to try and receive more, especially going through this. Receive emotional help, physical help, whatever it is, just receive.
I love that. And also you said you have great friends, and it's like you have to look at your group of friends, and if
Yeah.
they can't be there for you, then maybe you just can't rely on them at that moment, because we all
Right.
have seasons, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I did a post about friends too. And that was like, people are like, oh my gosh. And it is so important in our like midlife and up is like who those people are. And great if they can't do it, but they also just know and they're also just aware and checking in on you. And it's like you don't need many. It's like if you have one person that looks at you and like you can't see to put your own oxygen mask on, they're like putting it on for you. And that's just like life giving. And that's what we need to the end of like life is those people. And I just saw one of my closest friends, her mom is a kick. She's like Bette Midler and a mom. Like I love her so much. And she has gone through, she just lost a friend and has just helped a friend move into a home that has severe dementia. And she, I'm like, and I called her out and I was like, I sent her this big text and I was like, you are awesome. Like that is a lot to be there for someone that is heartbreaking. It's exhausting. It is all the things. And you were there and you did it all. And like, in case the husband is not aware of what you did or whatever, I just want to call you out for like being the best. And she was like, oh my God, cause I don't know. And I love loving on people and like you are so awesome like that. And I think it's important just to be like, good job, good job. Like we're all just, and yeah,
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, you're like, we're cut from the same cloth. I'm like, I want to meet, I can't wait to meet you one day in
I
person.
know we will.
Yeah, but it's like so many people won't come to me with things because they're like, "Oh, you're dealing with your own stuff." And I'm like, "No, tell me about your stuff, because then it doesn't make me just feel so overwhelmed with my own stuff, because we
Yeah.
all have stuff." And going back to what you're saying is we have to share. We have to
Yes.
put our story out there and just tell people what we're going through, so that,
Yes.
if they don't know, they can't read our minds, and then you
No.
recluse and you don't want to be out, and then you have anxiety, and then you start taking pills. I've just seen it over and over again.
Yeah, you can spiral down really easily. And it's like, I saw something today where it's like hope and fear are like both a choice. They're both like this trust in the unknown. And it's like, it's a daily choice, And it's like, so, and also with friends, I've had friends where they are so giving, but they won't let me give to them. They won't receive what I can give. And I don't feel as close to them. So maybe with some of your friends, you can let them like help more. And then you like, it's amazing if you just start allowing that, it'll be, and then they'll confide in you more because they're like, oh, well, she let me help her here. And then it's just that deeper level of trust and understanding when it's like that two-way street,
Yeah, and then you
because
get to see who can't do that for you. So then
yeah,
you
for
know, you
sure.
kind of stick with people that can, and then there's a
Yeah,
fear in that, right? Where you're gonna feel rejected or they're not gonna be there, but that's a gift at the same time, because you go,
absolutely.
"Okay, they can't empathize with something maybe that we're going through, because we're going through something that, people will go through, and we're the head of
Yeah.
our time with our friends." But man, it's just such a great conversation to have. I could just talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but I'm so grateful that you're you. You're just wonderful, and you give me joy, and I'm so excited that you're willing to, like, take on people that have these issues. So they go to sandwichgen.com, right? And they say, "Help me, Barbara." And then
Yeah, so on there you can get the ebook. I'm also getting the physical book published because of the meeting in companies and stuff, and then they can also book a care chat or a guidance session, and then always reach out to me on Instagram. I'm under my name, Barbara Stratte, and I just love it because it's because the people that we found each other in this, and to be seen and to feel like you're not alone is like the biggest lifeline I think you can ever have. And so, yeah, I mean, you are fantastic. And how amazing how many people you're positively affecting and what you're doing for your mom and your family. Like, so huge and so needed. And I like, love you. I really do. And one day we will definitely meet in person and feel like we're awesome.
we are. Oh my gosh, we are. And yeah, I love it. And I love that you're starting to create. And I bet, yeah, we'll catch up with that because I
Yes.
think people need to just create and laugh and just look at the muck and the mess and just laugh, like your story about the throw up
Yes.
and the dog comes in. It's just like, sometimes
I'm
I
like,
just
you can't not. It's like, oh my God. And just like the layers of chaos and shit.
it's just shit. It's my season of shit, cleaning diapers and it's just a lot of shit. And then
Yes.
the caretaker comes in with the new dog. I'm like, "You brought a puppy into my life?" She's like, "Well, we have 60 days to bring it back." I was like, "We can't bring the dog back." So now I clean up his shit too. But you gotta laugh, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for making me laugh. And I didn't know how this conversation was going to go, but I feel so much better because you could have gotten on here and been like, nope, there's no way but down from here. But no, you just got me to the light because, the ship is off to Valhalla, but yet there's so many memories that we can make while the ship is
Yes.
still sailing.
Yes. And you can find those tidbits in them, or just like that we are part of them, and that the parts we carry on and like their love and light, and that our kids see that. And so but it is a lot. So yeah, you just always feel appreciated and never alone.
Yeah, never everybody out there, you're not alone, and I'm gonna put all your information on the bottom so everybody can check it out and just but they have to read your blog. I love your blog and your book, and I'm so excited for all the new stuff.
You're just the best. I really appreciate that. I receive that. And I've just had so much fun. And I think the best conversations are the ones you're like, don't know where this is going to go. Let's do it.
I, like, stayed up my husband was just like, "Just talk." I'm like, "I know, I feel like I know her, and I'm just gonna babble," but
Oh
I
no, you're amazing. You have such a gift. You really do. I hope you never doubt yourself, because just showing up as yourself will always be the best. And you're just so soulful and connected that you will always know what to ask and get to what your listeners need to hear. So yeah, you just trust that.
Barbara Stratte in our life. I'm gonna go pick up my kids from school and be a better mom today because of you. So I thank you, and you're wonderful. And this is just the beginning of many conversations to have with you, Barbara.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the
Thank
best.
you.
All right, I'll see you on Instagram.
Go rock your day.
Okay. Bye, honey.
Bye.